Now, currently with Drake, the amount of losses he has been taking are coming in so fast that it's really impossible to keep up with all of them. But currently, what's most telling about just how bad everything has gone for Drake is the fact that with his current Anita Max Win Tour, which has been going on, Drake just canceled the remaining dates, and now more than numbers and all of the confusion about those could ever tell us. When you actually see why this tour was canceled, you will find out that Drake's career has never been more over. But now, before we go any further into this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and now as Drake and OVO are trying to hide just how bad the cancellation of this tour has been, it has really never been more important to—
What's up, G-Gang? Don't forget to drop a like on this and subscribe if you're new around here. Make sure you stay to the end because I'm going to drop my breakdown at the end. Let's get it, y'all.
As they don't want anyone to know just how terrible things have gone for Drake, even when he has ran as far as he possibly could away from Kendrick Lamar than you could have ever expected. And so now with that said, when it comes to the cancellation of this Anita Max Win Tour, joining the list of the worst cover-ups we have ever seen from Drake with such laughable stuff as The Heart Part 6, which yes, the statement about canceling this tour is that bad, so prepare yourselves. When you look at this official statement that was released by Drake's team, it's honestly just funny, because with the fact that they thought people would believe something that reads, due to a scheduling conflict, 4 of Drake's 16 sold-out shows in Australia and New Zealand will be postponed, just with that line alone, we don't need to read any of the other false promises Drake put into this statement as a whole, because we see everything we need to know right within these few words. Because somehow, Drake and his team really sat down, and when they were trying to find a way to cover up why they are abandoning an entire tour, which is something Drake has never done like this in the past, somehow the best excuse they could have came up with is that they have a scheduling conflict. Which really, when you just think about these claims a little, they make absolutely no sense whatsoever, because when you understand how touring works and how much thought and planning goes into just booking and confirming when every show is happening, which in the entirety of the music industry is not just one of the most important aspects that keeps it running, but it's also one of the most well thought out and planned. This is just unheard of. You don't actually come up on a scheduling conflict this close to something happening, and making this all even worse, with an additional statement that someone from Drake's team and OVO ended up releasing following this, they claimed that the actual scheduling problem was that there was a 12-day gap between Drake's shows on the road, and because of this, Drake and everyone on the tour were not going to be able to stay there for this long with so much waiting time, so they just canceled it all together because it wouldn't make sense for them to stay out there. And I don't even need to explain how this just makes no sense, because again, when you realize that Drake and his team booked this thing months in advance and knew the exact schedule they were going to be on, I mean, if this was just an issue, they could have moved the dates up a long time ago. So with that, how is this possibly an issue now when you had all of these months to prepare and figure out how to make the planning, timing, and traveling schedules of all of this work? And so really, when you just give all of this basic thought and understand that this entire claim from Drake and his team is not just a lie, but it's one of the worst cover-ups we have ever seen, which again is only confirmed by the fact that so many people around Drake, from OVO artists like Smiley and Partynextdoor to so many other people, were already down there and seemingly had plans to not leave anytime soon. With all of this tour ending so abruptly leaves us with one major question, which of course is, what is the actual reason behind Drake and his team lying to every single person and canceling this entire run of shows? And again, when you understand that from what we have seen from Drake, there are no personal reasons he has ended this tour because he's still out doing the same old embarrassing things that he always does, this leaves us with a few possible reasons why Drake ended all of this so unexpectedly, which either way, no matter what the reality of the situation is, they are really just equally as bad, as they especially highlight how desperate this entire move from Drake always was and how his career has never been more over, and over everything, how he does not care about bringing fans the art of his music, and he only ever cares about the popularity and status that this entire genre brings to it. And really, the number one and most likely outcome of what's going on is simply that the tickets for these shows were not sold out whatsoever, and because of this, Drake used this excuse as a cover-up to avoid the embarrassment of having a show that was not filled up, which of course in this time would have just been the worst thing that could possibly happen for him. And I mean, with the seating charts for these concerts indicating that this show was in not as high demand as maybe they would have expected, which adding more context to this when you have already seen the footage from his tour, from the fact that not all the shows have had completely filled arenas, to the fact that this tour has given Drake almost no good attention, because at the very core of this entire experience he has been trying to deliver, the stage just looks uninspired and boring. And really, between people begging Drake for things with signs, to Drake nearly playing karaoke with how little he actually uses his voice during his shows, really, when you put all of that into context, Drake should not be surprised that in this time where he has never been lower in rap's power rankings, that this embarrassing excuse of a tour has done nothing to grow his fans or even make people want to go see these shows. And really, based on what we are seeing now, and really, as this outcome of what happened being so likely, we can say with a lot of certainty that the flop of this tour and these shows specifically was at least a leading reason for why this was all put to an end. And really, with Drake having to face either getting embarrassed by performing at empty arenas or just pulling the entire tour from happening altogether, just adding more context to why this all happened the way it did. I think what Drake and his team saw here was an opportunity by canceling these shows to make another move within their current losing playbook, which overall led them to think that with these low ticket numbers, they could cancel the show altogether. And then with the confusion and abrupt ending to these live performances, Drake, OVO, and all of their supporters will start to spread and play into the fact that they are being blocked and suppressed by the industry even when it comes to a tour like this. And of course, they will then say that this is what—
So on my last video, I gotta really kind of grind him up a little bit because I gave him some grace in my last video saying that I thought it was a technical issue. Come to find out, it's not a technical issue. It's just him not wanting to do the tail end of his tour, and he's done this before. Because I'm kind of looking into it now. You know, I was doing my little work wherever on the side a little bit, and I'm looking into this situation, and he's done this at the end of a couple of his tours with fans saying this. You know, we doing our little deep dive right now. We got fans and they already talking about it. And come to find out, and I found this out after I shot the video yesterday, he flew back on his private jet before they even announced the end of his tour. So the promoters still thought the tour was still going on. He left on his jet. Like, bro didn't care. He just left on his jet. He was like, it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? He probably got his back in him. Drake, I'm out of here, bro. He don't care, bro. So look, when you looking at it, you see the concert goers, they was already talking about it. They saying what, he was late both nights because he wasn't on site until he was ready to perform and barricade the back of the arena to enter the stage that way instead of coming in from backstage. Patrons were leaving by 10:30 p.m. because it was either really late or they thought it was too loud, bad sound, and he finished at 11:30. Wow. On Wednesday, Drake canceled the remainder of his Australia and New Zealand tour due to a scheduling conflict. But it wasn't a scheduling conflict, it sounded like. It sounded like he just wanted to cancel the tour and go back home. The rapper left Australia on Wednesday morning and returned to his native Canada via private jet. He was due to perform at Brisbane Entertainment Centre on March 4th before heading back to Sydney for another show at the Bank Arena on March 7th. The Canadian hitmaker was set to play gigs in Auckland, New Zealand on March 15th and 16th. Yeah, he got to do right by him. He got definitely do right by him. Because now you got the promoter saying we're actively working on rescheduling these dates along with adding some. So I don't know what he's doing. He better go back over there and make that right. Don't mess up that money in New Zealand. You know, you don't want to mess up. You Drake, but you still don't do the promoters bad like that. All right, it's your boy, What's Up, G. I don't know what's up with this dude right now. All right, he doing them bad, but I'm from what I'm seeing and I'm uncovering, he does this at the end of a lot of his tours. He don't be wanting to do the end of his tours for some reason. All right, it's your boy, What's Up, G. Don't forget to drop a like on this, comment, subscribe. And if you want more in-depth Drake and Kendrick Lamar breakdowns, make sure you click this button right here before it disappears. If ain't nobody told you they love y'all, I love y'all. I'm out, y'all. So he just don't want to do it. Okay.